Tell text. I got it.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. Okay, I call the Perry Township Board of Trustees meeting to order on November 10th at 7 p.m. I guess we'll do the pledge first. Everybody want to stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Finken, will you take roll?
Mears,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes. Let's see. All right. All right, Mr. Bell, you have the host capability to share.
All right, I'm gonna hit share screen. You should be able to see my screen now. Is that true? Nope, not yet. How about now?
There we
Yes.
go.
Can I stop you for a minute? I want to introduce Mr. Russell Bell is with the Asher Group, and he's doing a demo of their hyper research. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry we didn't introduce you.
Oh, that's no problem.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your attendance. I'm gonna get rid of this a little bit. Says iPhone has entered the room for this meeting. Do I admit it?
Yes. Anybody that pops in, just admit them, please.
Okay. 1 second. I got to figure out how to do that.
It's under participants.
Got it. Boom. I use this enough. I should know how to do it. I use Zoom and GoToMeeting pretty regularly. So what you're seeing here is the HyperReach website. HyperReach itself sits in the cloud. So it's virtual. There's no equipment for you to buy and install in your facility. You access it remotely from wherever you happen to be. There's 3 different ways you can access HyperReach, which are calling in through a toll-free number that you'll see in just a minute, logging in through this website, or activating the mobile app. All 3 resources use the same exact login and PIN. So everyone gets a 10-digit login, a 7-digit PIN. There are different levels of login privileges that let you do different things within HyperReach. And of course, the main function of HyperReach is to alert or notify your public. If it's a full-blown service, you can also use it internally to organize different divisions of the city or your staff or whatever you want to do to make your life a little easier. I'm going to log in just to give you a visual of what an account looks like when it's set up. So there's my 10-digit login and PIN. This is the number I was talking to you about earlier, 855-2-NOTIFY. You would access it with the same user ID and PIN. It's really made up of 4 tabs. You see more than 4 here. But AccuReach targeting tool, we call it a targeting tool because it's more than just a map. You can use different avenues or methods to reach the public. So you can draw a shape on a map. You can also alert an entire town or municipality, which maybe you'd load Perry, maybe you'd load some others, and then different streets in that particular town. So really 3 levels of detail here. We achieve that by loading all your landline and some mapping data together, get that to match 95% or more, and that allows you to draw the shape on a map. What I'm going to talk to you mostly today, though, about is what we've been talking about, which is alerting through IPAWS. IPAWS stands for Integrated Public Alert Warning System. It's basically the modern day version of the national broadcast system we all grew up with as kids, where they have that banner on the bottom of the TV or the tone on the radio. And now it gives you the ability to blast a wireless emergency alert, WEA message, which looks a lot like a text message coming to your phone. It does come to your phone through a little different sequence or avenue, but that's how you receive Amber alerts today and some National Weather Service alerts today. Other avenues we have is this handy call all button. So we give you 4 methods: map, municipalities, streets on a map, or this handy call all button, which grabs everybody in the database really quickly. You can also have the citizens enroll and sign up for service and provide information that you may not have, like cell phone numbers, voice over IP numbers connected to their home, email addresses. It is a pretty easy form that you can reach 5 different ways. Looks something like this. This is going to mimic your landline or 911 data, so it would list all the towns in a specific county. These are towns in Monroe County, New York, but if you wanted to pretend one of these say Perry instead of Churchville, then it would list all the streets in that town. You could say that you lived on West Buffalo Street, and then you could say that your house number 56. If it's an apartment, what your name is, how you want to receive alerts, English, Spanish, all of the above. If there's a special needs person in the home that may need help or assistance during an evacuation, then as many different pieces of contact information as they want to provide. It could be cell phones, landlines, TTY equipment for the hearing impaired, emails, etc. So it could be voice and text, or just text. This is for weather alerts and community alerts. Once they hit submit, that dumps them all back in that same database, if you will, with all of your landline data. So I'm showing you some of the full featured stuff. We haven't talked about all that full feature stuff for Perry Township. We were talking about more of an iPause only solution, but we can go through the sequence of all of those. So anything to do with the public is here. Anything to do here, this campaign manager folder is an example of a report or a completed call list of activation or alert activity. Messages are stored here for both internal and public use, and then lists or groups are stored in here. This is where you'd list your internal city list if you wanted to communicate with the police department or the health department or facilities or whatever list or group you wanted to create, you would do that. So those are your 4 primary tabs that make up the system. These 2 on the end are more customizable stuff. So this contact manager works seamlessly with this list manager. So anybody on this list is set over here in individual contacts that can be changed or set up or change contact information. What happens is you'll see my name here. If I click on this, it tells you I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4 different lists or groups next door. So if I go in here and change my information by clicking the pencil, it would automatically update all the lists or groups I'm on over here. They work seamlessly back and forth to save you a lot of steps. The count tab is just configuring what time of day you want the alerts to go out, time in between tries, how many attempts it makes, if it's a busy signal, all kinds of configuration here. This is where you'd add and manage users. This is where you'd add integrated services. We haven't talked much about yet. That's pushing notifications to different services like Facebook, a Twitter feed, an RSS feed to your city website, of course, iPause, and some browser alerts. There's a lot of different ways we alert people. So let's go back to that. The primary 5 ways HyperReach will send alerts to your public is to call landlines, cell phone, text message, TTY, and email. What makes those primary in HyperReach is it allows 2-way communication or real-time communication. You can send an alert, or you can also send a question back and get a reply back. That reply back can be in a couple of different forms. A typical positive response would be in the form of a 1 or a 2. Typically, it's 1 or 2 can mean whatever you want. Typically, it's 1 for yes or 2 for no. We see lots of uses like press 1 to confirm you received this message, press 2 if you need assistance now, things of that nature. ETA is another type will allow you to reply with 4 different replies to a question. So if your ETA was 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you could type in 1300. Or if it was 9 o'clock in the morning, you could type in 900. Or if it's 15 minutes out, you could just type in a 1 and a 5. It's whatever you want the numbers to mean or digits to mean to whatever question you want to ask. You could also ask a survey or polling type question, like we're having an emergency meeting at 7:15 in the training room, press 5 if you can attend, or 7 or 6 or 2, whatever you want the number to mean to whatever question you want to ask. Let me show you a sequence of how to activate this. I'm going to do the first one online, and then I'm going to show you how to do it from the app as well. So let's just look for a general missing person, or this could simulate a weather alert, because that's what we've talked about in the past, a shape of a storm being laid over a map, and then everybody within that shape get a message. Now, if it's iPause only, it's going to take care of every cell phone that's on within range of specific towers in your community. Now, this again is going to be a map of Rochester or the Rochester area. This is upstate New York. If I zoom in here, you'll get the city of Rochester. You can also do a satellite view. For learning curve purposes, we use a Google map because everyone knows how to use Google. They spend a lot of money on security and imagery. So you can just, it just becomes a pretty picture to gather your data, which could be cell phone or landline data or mapping data. We're going to just enter this in here. And if we do that, it's just built in layers underneath. We just use Google on the surface. So I'm going to go down to Main Street and Clinton Avenue. I don't have to spell that right, but it'll get me pretty close. If I zoom in here a little closer, one of the other nice features using Google Map imageries is going to do a three-dimensional view. Let me know that there's a 23-story building here in the Genesee River, and obviously a pretty populated area. Now, for iPause only, I would just grab any polygon. Maybe it's around certain routes or roads. It's giving me an identification that there's a bridge there. I can draw as many polygons as I want to make whatever shape I want. I can move those. This is all just left click with my mouse. I'm on nothing fancy, by the way. I have a 5-year-old laptop and a wireless connection, and you can access HyperReach from anywhere. But that's going to grab every cell tower in that shape and automatically send that out to any phone that's on or within range of that shape. No sign up or extra work required. Now, if we want to build a database, we would build in your landlines and have them sign up for information other than that. But for activating iPause, that's all you'd have to do. So I'm just going to start a campaign. That's where we want to call. Next, I can create my message. A lot of times, if it's a weather alert, it's going to automatically grab that weather alert from the National Weather Service, put it in that shape, and just send it out automatically. If we automate something, like a tornado warning is what we automate the most. It takes the shape of that tornado, grabs the message directly from the National Weather Service within 30 seconds of it being issued. It puts it over that shape and starts dialing your public within 2 minutes of that alert being sent out. You don't have to touch a button. It's done automatically. What happens is HyperReach will start gathering that information when it becomes a tornado watch, when it goes from a watch to a warning. That's what triggers it and sends it out. I'm doing a missing person here, so I'm just going to grab this message. Displays in the box. If I want to change it or edit it, I just click these buttons, but this says I'm looking for a 6-foot male, 220 pounds, green shirt, blue shoes, call this number. It's also taking that message and translate it to Spanish. If that's attractive to you, we can do a secondary language for Spanish. We can also add an image to this. So if I were to take just a basic silhouette here and add that as a generic piece. But so there's a description of who we're looking for. It's actually in 2 different languages and a picture of who we're looking for. Now, if you were using this internally, it could be a description for a meeting and then a PDF file of an agenda or other things you wanted to share. I'm just going to hit next here. This is the information I was telling you about. So I could actually do a browser alert. Anybody in that shape that's using a specific browser would get an alert down here in the bottom right-hand corner, like a Facebook message would pop up saying it's Fred's birthday, except for it'd be a HyperReach alert saying there's a tornado coming. You could also send this out to Facebook or Twitter. So it'd be really handy for missing persons or to activate the system. If I am utilizing iPause, you do have to be certified. FEMA controls the iPause system. And they want you to be certified. It's about a half an hour of online training and filling out a form that we'd be happy to guide you through. We have some pre-filled out with HyperReach as the aggregator. What I mean by aggregator is a service like ours that allows you to create a message and that automatically communicates with all the servers and technical information to activate iPause. They're going to want you to fill in all these asterisk fields, these red fields. We do most of them for you just to save you steps. We try to keep it 4 steps or less to do anything in HyperReach. So I'm going to say this is a local emergency where I'm filling out these IPAWS fields. It's the public safety. It's severity, certainty, and urgency. We just do the most extreme cases of these. You can change them if you want. That saves you 3 steps there. Here's the messages that I created for you. You'll notice that there's 2 sets. IPAWS recently went to being able to deliver 360 characters. For many years, since 2012 until this year, you could only deliver 90 characters because a lot of the hardware out there could only receive 90 characters or less. They just increased that to 360 characters, but they still want you to do an abbreviated version for 90 characters. So we do both. And then here's 2 different languages. And then I'm going to put a execute an action, which we want them to look for this person. And this is just going to summarize all those things. So this is social media that we're tapping into and pushing those notifications out to the world. This is every street and address range in that shape that I drew. It's probably 50 or 60,000 contacts in those address ranges downtown. This is telling me that it's really not going to deliver an IPAWS message, which is good, which keeps me out of jail. This is just simulating it. Another feature that FEMA's insisted on in the last year to be able to work with them is some type of mechanism to prevent a false or a spoof alert going out, which we all kind of witnessed a couple of years ago when an accidental missile message was sent to the island of Hawaii. That was IPAWS. And so now a lot of my competitors will have them do a launch code or some type of verification code. We simply have you test or type in the words test or live. We just want the user to think, is this a test? Because IPAWS also requires you to do a test once a month, or is this a live message? So I'm just going to do live here. It's going to give me a green light and validate that. And now you'll notice this launch button appeared. Until then, the gray launch button was just all grayed out and you couldn't activate it until you typed in the right answer. And the right answer is based on all these criteria that got me to this point. When I'm clicking, do I want social media? Do I want this? Do I want that? That indicates if it's a live or it's a test. I'm going to hit launch. It's going to send that out and launch that. And it's just simulating going to IPAWS, into Facebook, into Twitter, into all these different mechanisms that allow you to alert the public. This brings you over to the report. If I open that up, I can manage the report. And managing the report allows me to pause this while it's underway and start it again, or stop it, which would cancel it. If I was calling all those numbers, it would list them here. So I don't know, you guys can tell me, can you see this pop-up alert right here in the bottom right-hand corner? It's a silhouette and it says looking for male 6 feet tall.
Yes.
Anybody see that?
Yes.
You can.
Yeah, we can see it.
Wonderful. Because on GoToMeeting, for some reason, you can't. So that's an example of a pop-up alert. But let's say you call a landline and they don't have any reason to look at it or mechanism to look at it. It'll direct them to a website called alertcalls.com. They type in their phone number and they can see that same image and read the message. In fact, if I click on that, it takes me to that web page. I can demonstrate that for you. So I can decide if I want to look at this in English or Spanish. And here's my message, and I can play that or review it.
Looking for male, 6 feet tall, 220 pounds, wearing green shirt and blue jeans. Please call 585-0020.
Obviously, that's my voice on there, but you don't have to have your voice on there. You can do. We always recommend a human voice when you send it out to the public, but you get the idea. So that's a great way. If you were to see that via an email, you could do that. Text, you could do that. I just did the same mechanism through the browser alert. How are we doing for time? I can show you more. I just wanted to give you a little sequence or a taste. So that's what a weather alert would do. It would hit all of the residents in that shape, in that area with the weather alert, which I think is what you were most interested in the beginning. I have much more I can show you, but that would require more time.
How would you go? How do our residents go about putting in this information? Do you all put it in? Do we put it in?
When we set up a full-blown system, we get a copy of your 911 data. and we load that in. Sometimes we get it from you. If we can't, we have some very good sources. We've been building telephony systems for about 25 years, and we'll go get that for you and load just the landline data and match that up with some mapping data that we have. And then based on that would be that form I showed you, that they could reach 5
Right.
different ways. They could actually read that by typing in a text code, by going to this URL that could be linked to your city website. They could also call a toll-free number. So we try to give different mechanisms that are attractive to different age groups, which gives us a lot higher percentage of people actually enrolling or signing up. The industry standard is like 5 to 10%. And above and beyond your landlines, we're getting closer to 25 and 30% just by giving tools like my mom's generation would rather call a toll-free number and say, "Hi, I'm Mrs. Bell. I would like community and weather alerts, and I live at 2300 Court Street." And it would record her saying that, transcribe that, and automatically dump her in this alert sign-up report that you get every month. Tells you who's signing up and how many from each town. And have some counts here. You can also do a reverse lookup and look and see who's signing up by typing in a phone number or an email address, and it tells you who they are, when they signed up, and where they are in the database, and you can actually enable or disable them and do some basic stuff yourself.
Okay.
Did
Now,
that answer your question?
yeah, and if we would like happen to have like an Amber Alert or something like that, do we put it in or do you all put it in?
No, Amber Alerts would go out automatically, and that would be an iPause thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything with iPause is based on a geographically mapped area and broadcast to every device there. National
Okay.
Weather Service, Amber Alerts, other federal messages that come out.
Now, with this system, you could create your own messages and send them out over iPause. That's part of the certification process.
Right. That's like if we have a runaway in
Right.
the township.
Sure.
Yes.
What if somebody doesn't want to receive the messages? Can they opt out?
They sure can. With this form, they can opt out. We can, or you can call you or us and we can disable them. But if I can, let me get rid of this toolbar again, 1 second. Just sign in right here. You can go back in and they can either create their own account to go back in and change their information. They can use their Facebook, they can use Twitter, they can use Google and sign back in that way and change their information or opt out.
But they're going to be automatically signed up initially through, you guys are going to sign everybody up carte blanche based on our 911 numbers and our records.
That's a great question. We start with 3-part system for the database. One is a base layer of all the landlines we can acquire. The second part would be having them enroll or sign up from those 5 different ways that I can give you a lot more detail on when we have more time. And then the third way is, of course, to activate iPause for people that are just driving through or don't live in your community. So with those 3 parts, we do a better job than most for coverage for your community.
And what's the cost of something like this?
Full-blown system for your population, all the bells and whistles and stuff I haven't shown you would be $4,950. iPause only, our standard price is $29.95, $3,000, but I gave you some special pricing because most of your neighbors are using HyperReach, where we could do iPause weather alerts for $2,000.
Is that a year or?
And I worked out. That's annually. Yes, correct. I welcome you to compare that pricing with anything robust like this because we usually stack up very well. We did lower the prices. That's basically any population, I think under 15 or 20,000 gets the standard unlimited use price of $49.50, $5,000. That's unlimited users using the system, unlimited alerts to the public, training, setup, everything.
And for the stuff that we were looking at, iPause was basically what we were looking at. What I was looking at as I went through this with Russ.
Yeah.
But I wanted him to show the full suite so that people understood what it can do for possible future use. But right now the target was on the iPause for the weather, missing persons, persons of interest, stuff like that would be under the iPause umbrella.
Just to be clear though, the iPause would be that wireless emergency alert coming to phones that were in that range only. So there'd be no sign up, no loading data. no
Right.
Access laws. Just to be clear, because I've showed you different things. I don't want to confuse you, but I do want to show you what the whole system will do.
Right. And that was the big thing, is that the iPause in and of itself, very lightweight to configure. People don't have to sign up for it. It's just like a weather radio. When an alert goes out for when it switches from a warning to a watch, it sends it out just like it would on a weather radio or on the TV. So just a way for people in the area, whether they're in their homes, having their cell phones, on the road, whatever, to be able to get those alerts and save some precious time and allow them to get to safety.
Doesn't Brookville Fire Department already use HyperReach?
What, Churchville, you said?
The Brookville Fire Department,
They do.
they already use HyperReach. So for those of us who are getting the messages from Brookville, are they going to be duplicated through the township? We're going to end up getting them twice?
I don't believe so. It depends on where you live and where your house is, I guess. But City of Brookville is a customer. They have the $5,000 system. Beyond that, I have to check and see some.
Yeah, so half of our township already has that service.
Well, it depends on if Brookville mapped it only to the incorporated part of Brookville. If not, then, I mean, that would be something we'd have to find out. I knew Clayton used it. That's actually one of the places that I was talking to about the HyperReach iPause capability. So we would actually have to see what Brookville Fire Department has that map to.
Okay.
One thing I didn't show you that I won't take a lot of time, but I should have, was all this system that I just showed you online is also accessible from an app. And it's a fully functioning app. It's this launch app right here. So this is a HyperReach Anywhere app that the citizens could download, and yet another way to receive alerts. But HyperReach launch app would log me into the same system that you see in the background, and you could run all this right from your phone. It's automatically logging me in. There's the campaign I just sent out at 7/17. If I want to create a new one, I hit what I want to say, where do I want it to go, and launch. So I could do a boil water notice down here. Select what town. So I'm just going to select East Rochester this time. And I don't have to draw any shapes or anything. It just grabs everything in that town. Decide if I want any social media or pop-up alerts or browsers or iPause with that. Apply and then launch it. I just launched it all from my phone. I'll be quiet now.
Does New Lebanon Fire Department have this, or New Lebanon City? Do you know?
I don't think so, but at this point, we don't want to trust my memory. I can check.
Okay.
I'm just going to turn that gadget off. But yeah, I just wanted to expose you guys to this. Jason wanted me to do a quick presentation. I can follow up with some literature. If there's more questions you have, we'd be happy to help. If it works, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. Well, great. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. Well,
Thank
Mr. Bell, yeah, we appreciate you coming this evening.
I'm going to stop my screen share so that you guys can grab that back, and then I'll get out of here.
Okay.
Can you have it back before I leave?
Yeah, can you just make me the host again?
Yeah.
If you go up to my name under participants, there's a button that says more next to my name.
I'm on your name, or I clicked on you.
Yep. And then to the right, it'll say more. You click on more, and there should be a choice there to make host.
Uh-oh. Stop video, chat, rename, pin, allow record. You should be able to just share screen and take it from me. That's what we do in our meetings. Let me see if I can get the little bit of a different, or if I leave, will allow you to do it. I just don't want to.
I don't want it to boot everybody out of the meeting. So
Right.
usually if you mouse up over my name to the right, it'll say mute and more. If you click on more, it should be an option there to make me the host.
Got it. More. Says live on Facebook and something else. I'm on more on the bottom. I'm on your name.
Participants. You go to participants, then my name, and next to my name, there's a more button.
No, I got you. Now I got you. Now I got you. Stop video.
No, select make me host. Oh.
Don't worry, I got it. I'll get it back. Make host. Got it?
Yep.
All right. I've raised enough havoc. I will get out of here. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Thank
You
you, sir.
too.
Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, we need a motion for resolution 2020-136 to 139, approve minutes and payments of bills. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. I make a motion that we accept them.
I second the consent agenda.
Wynn,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
Mears.
Yes.
For the fiscal officer report, we received the cemetery grant for $1,000. That's receipted into a new revenue account and expenditure account. So when, I'm assuming 2021, when we start working on that, it'll be pulled from those two accounts. Jason, for the USDA application project that you had in my drawer,
Mhm.
a couple of the questions here, the revenue stream to be used to repay the proposed rural development loan. I guess I need some more information on this. Will this be the police, general,
Yes.
and zoning, or just?
So this is a pre-application, and they're basically asking us if we got a USDA loan to build a building, how would we repay it? And from the initial conversations with Chief Littleton, he was willing to basically do the loan out of the police fund for that. So just initially, I think we were talking about, did he say? I think right now we're looking at about 100,000 notionally. This is, like I said, this is no commitment or anything else, just based on the square footage that they've mocked up and that we're looking at. I think we were looking at like a 30-year, $100,000 loan. And it was, I believe we were looking at that out of the police fund. So
Okay,
that it would hit
the
us in-
revenue documents will come only from the police. That's what you want me to report?
for this pre-application. Yes, ma'am. That is correct.
Okay. And no equipment, because that was question number 9.
Hmm.
And if you need to research that more, that's fine. I just,
I do. My plan is to have the chief fill in what he could fill in, have you fill in what you could fill in, and then send it back to me, and then I'll go through it with USDA to make sure that we dot the I's and cross the T's before we send it up.
and then the list of funding sources, I'm assuming the current taxes that's received.
Yes.
Okay. And then the operating budget, that'll just be the carryover amount from the police fund.
Correct.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Okay. And then budget for 2021, I've been emailing reports to the chief so he can start reviewing all that. Received the August 2020 settlement. This is not calculated in your revenue sheets. Cash summary by fund that I had sent. I still need to calculate that and add that in. Ohio checkbook for 18 and 19 has been uploaded. 2020, we're just going to wait till the end of the year and upload that. We'll go from there if we want to do monthly or quarterly. The BWC premium calculations, I have always paid those, and an annual payment will be at the end of December of 2020. I'll pay that for the 2021 year. when there's a meeting or anything canceled, what are your thoughts on placing something on the notification board and the website, just so we have no misunderstanding going into the future?
And on the official Facebook page.
Correct.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I do know that the BZA meetings are on an as needed basis. So if that was part of the question, if they don't have it on the second Tuesday, it would probably make sense around the first of the month to put something out there saying that when the BZA meeting will be. Just
Well,
so,
no, we always advertised in the past that the BZA meetings are the first Thursday of each month as needed, and the zoning commission are the third Thursdays of the month as needed. So for 2021, when we do our reorganization meeting, we can change that however we all agree upon. So right now we don't, I know we have to advertise now because of the Zoom and COVID, but the same as we do for our trustees meeting, the second Tuesday of the month, then that don't have to be posted every month.
right. So if a meeting doesn't end up happening as regularly scheduled, yes, we will be posting something. I think we can all agree on that.
But it's not set in stone that any of these meetings happen every month. Is that correct?
No, it's as needed. That's what was advertised in January of 2020.
Okay.
Because not every month will you have a zoning commission or a BCA meeting.
Okay.
And then also for the state interest rate for the Finney Law Firm for 2021, it is 3%. I just received that from Don Frick. In 2020, it was 5%. And then also I need a resolution. This came in today from the auditor's office. This would be a resolution needed for advance of taxes for next year for collection year 2021. In the past, I have always said the minimum amount to advance is $500 on a weekly schedule. Are you trustees fine with continuing with that?
I'm not sure I understand what it is. What is the advance?
Okay, our taxes that we receive, if you don't pass this resolution, you won't receive it until the settlement date, which is probably April or May. This allows you to put in a dollar amount that you want to receive, and you can either choose weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or other. And then when they receive up to that dollar amount, they will directly deposit it into the Perry Township account.
Is there ever an amount that we have to pay back because we've overshot it?
No, because the county pays us 95% and Perry is usually about 98%. And on your settlement sheet, that's where the difference is adjusted.
Okay.
I've always thought in the past, I'd rather have the money sitting in the Perry Township account earning interest instead of in the county's account. So that's why I've always suggested a minimum of $500 on a weekly basis.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as that matches any projections that we would have. Do we ever see us being at a point where we're going to be in arrears and unable to do something that we usually do at the 500 per week?
And that's what I just
Well, we're
asked.
going to receive the tax money, whatever is generated for the first half of the taxes. This is just allowing us to receive it.
Right, as we go. Okay, not a problem.
It goes into our account and we collect the interest as opposed to it staying in the county's account and they collect the interest.
Correct. And we need something to operate on. We won't receive this till probably the last week in January. And then it'll trickle in through February and March. And then your final settlement sheet is in April, May. If you do not pass this, you will not receive any money until April or May. And our funds cannot support several months with no tax revenue coming in. And I do need a resolution for that if you're good with the weekly amount of $500.
All right, so I make a motion that we accept, do we need to accept the resolution? Have you proposed it?
Well, for tax year 2020, advance requests for collection year of 2021, dollar amount of $500 to receive weekly. That's probably how I'll write up the resolution.
Okay,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Wynn,
yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
Mears.
Yes.
And I also had a resident message me here just a little bit ago, looking for the forms that Chief had mentioned last meeting, where an officer can sit in someone's driveway to watch for speeders, and they could not find it. That is on the police website. Is that correct?
I actually have some information on that as well. That's in my trustees report to try to get with the chief or Sergeant Hessler if they can't get to the forms. They are supposed to be on the police department's Facebook page or on the website, but I also had difficulty finding them. But I know I spoke with the chief the other day, and that is definitely something they're looking for people to do.
And if they need one, they can call the police department. I'm sure Tim can get them one.
Or stop by the township office.
Yes.
So the forms are on the police website, though?
They're supposed to be.
Okay.
They work with a web developer. So I think they were having some problems with that. And they said that people could stop into the police office and request one, and they would give them one there.
Okay, I will let her know that then. And then that's all for the fiscal officer report.
Okay, and the road and cemetery, we got seeding on Sheep Road. They poured 6 cemetery footers and 1 remaining footer to pour. That's it for the road department. And Chief Littleton went home ill today, so he went ahead and sent me his report. So let's see. First off, Chief Littleton needs a motion to increase Officer Barnes' pay to 17 hours with an effective date of November 2nd, 2020. So I make a motion to increase Officer Barnes's pay to $17 going back to November 2nd.
I second that.
Mears,
Yes.
Hartshorn,
Yes.
Wynn.
Yes.
Okay, and the evidence van is marked and at KE Rose and should be completed in a couple weeks. For the month of October, Perry Township Police wrote 32 traffic citations. 27 traffic citations were for speed, 2 driving under suspension, 1 for fictitious tags, 1 for expired driver's license. 3 were related to vehicle accidents, and 1 for OVI. And that is all that Chief Littleton has.
Trustee Mears, can you email that to me?
Yes.
I can attach it to the report. Thank you.
And Ms. Kaler, zoning.
Karen, you're still muted. You can either hit your space bar or click on your microphone.
Yeah, I lost you guys somehow.
There you go.
Okay. For my report on trash, since the trash bills were sent out, there has been 8 vacant properties reported. We have 3 snowbirds that have been suspended. You know, their trash has been suspended. There were 252 bills, trash bills that were lost by the post office that has finally come in with their payments. And I took in about another 13 today. On zoning, I issued a 1 garage permit and 1 pool barn permit. And the 2020 annual monitoring report from the Ohio Department of Agriculture was completed on October 29th, 2020. And I sent out 3 courtesy letters this month due to resident complaints. A person living in a travel trailer, an in-ground pool installed without a permit, a barn that was built without a permit, and I'm still working on other complaints. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and any questions for Ms. Gaylor? Okay, and now to trustees reports. I attended a Zoom meeting with the Montgomery County Engineers Office, met with New Lebanon Police and our Perry Township Police, met with the Montgomery County Health Department. They did a walkthrough and a follow-up on 2 different properties. Talked to a masonry gentleman about the archway at Pleasant Hill Cemetery. He still has not gotten back to me. He was supposed to be checking that. I did talk Saturday. I talked to the supervisor from Barrett Paving Company. Road is looking good and on schedule. And of course, in Mr. Kraft's thing, they said about seeding, and they were going. That's what they were working on Saturday, not seeding, but getting the road ready with the dirt and everything. I met with Miss Keaton regarding the language in the fire contract on the recommendation from our risk management review. Miss Keaton saw no problem, but had to check with her law director. And I have not heard from Miss Madden from New Lebanon. I did talk with Chief Littleton regarding the hepatitis B vaccination. He said, as far as he was aware, most of his people already have it, but he's going to double check on that. And the last thing I have is I would like to invite everyone up to the Gateway Park tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The VFW will be honoring our veterans and our first responders tomorrow at 2 o'clock, if anybody can make it. And that's my report.
Unmute. So on my report, I spent some time speaking with Chief Littleton about some of the roads and the speed limits and the speeders through town. Like you mentioned in his report, they had quite a few traffic citations for speed, and we are all pretty much aware of the fatality caused by excessive speed on one of our roads. So that's something that he's mentioned he really wants to crack down on, and he made note that there are some speed limit signs that are too far distanced apart, or we don't have enough speed limit signs, or people just don't know what the speed limits are. So I looked into the LTAP, the Local Technical Assistance Program, and we had gotten some information on them a little while ago. And so I've spoken to somebody to see, what our chances would be if it's worth trying to apply for the grant for fiscal year 2022. We would have to apply for it coming up here. They're going to be opening the grant period pretty soon. There's also a group that the OTA is involved with now that the governor has formed that I mentioned once before about making roads safer. So I've revisited a little bit of that and tried to dig up some more reports on my nemesis of Old Dayton and Johnsville, Brookville, and some on Air Hill Road and a few other roads. The last road surveys that were done were in 2018, and the last data reports came out in 2019. So I'm trying to see if we can get the county to update some of those, and we'll have to see at the beginning of January how that goes. I also got with Beckett Berenice to see if they would be able to come to one of our meetings or Zoom with us on one of their meetings to discuss the contract that we had discussed at the work session. And I'm supposed to let Travis know. We had talked briefly about maybe adding more work sessions, so I wasn't sure if we were going to do that or not, but as of right now, he's fine to do it on the 4th Tuesday. But if we add another one, then we may bump him up to that. For part of that risk management, that we were doing. I don't know where I put it, but I've been looking over the township's policy and procedures manual, and I noticed that the last time it was actually upgraded was done in 2001. So I've spoken to a few other townships, and I've been in communication with the OTA to find out, what some of their policies are, and I'm going to try to compile some suggestions to bring back at our next work session again. I wanted to address a couple of phone calls that I received regarding smells in the southern end of the township and what can be done about it. The bottom line is that smell is harvest season, and it's been warmer than usual this year, so the smells may be stronger. There's not much we're going to be able to do, and I've explained to folks this is temporary. If you drive by and you smell it, just keep reminding yourselves that those are the smells of future foods on your table. And then I was tagged in a Facebook post regarding that building on Sulphur Springs and Brookville Piermont. Just again, for the record, so people know, I will not respond to things on Facebook, but I did send a message to the gentleman, and since there were a couple other people that were following along, there's nothing right now that we can do because it is still private property. I am still asking periodically about it. It's really in the hands of the county, because even though there is a tax lien on the property, it's a huge, big, convoluted mess that we don't really have the time or the money to fight. And because it's at the county level, there's not really much fight we have in it anyway.
Mindy, what are you talking about?
That building that's at the corner of Sulphur Springs and Brookville Piermont that looks like it's about to fall over if someone sneezes.
The Hicks property. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it. But it's not, and you had told me also, folks are still asking, and it's just, I've tried, you tried, this is not a situation of the old trustees did nothing. This is a situation of our hands really legitimately are tied on that one. And just in case anyone missed the news, we had 6,500 new cases of COVID from yesterday to today. And our township does have several confirmed cases that we're not going to disclose, obviously, because of HIPAA. But tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, there is some press conference that the governor is making a big announcement. So in the event that they make that, I'm sure we will discuss the offices potentially being closed again. But I know at least and I assume we'll still be reachable in the same fashion as the last time. But, everybody just take care of yourselves and each other. And then, assuming it still happens because of COVID, I will be out of town with the 6th grade Wee Devil football team going to Rocky Top. So I'll be gone from the 19th and 22nd, but I can still be reached online or via text.
So let me ask, I had 2 questions real quick, Mindy.
Yeah.
The first one was regarding the street signs. I remember we had that conversation at OTA with that group that basically gives away the signs.
Right.
And we never did you ever get any clear information on who we submit our accident data to? Because that was the driver to being able to get those signs. And I never got anything on that.
Well, so that's part of the LTAP, that the ones that were across, the green people that were across from that blinking sign that I liked, they were LTAP. And they are the ones that need our accident data, but the accident data that we can submit to them is not up to date.
Right.
And the gentleman that I was working with from the Sandy Johnson Foundation, Dean Johnson, who is an expert at making roads safe, he himself did some surveys and tried to get more recent data. Part of what we were running into is there were no fatalities. Well, unfortunately, now we've had a fatality, and it was on one of the roads that we were trying to do something about. And we also had a car end up in a pasture full of cows that could have been a bigger disaster than it was. So there are things that have happened since those reports were made, which is why I'm trying to get them upgraded and trying to get some new reports so I can send them all off and see what we can get out of it.
Okay. The other question, it's not really, I guess it's for all the trustees, is if something happens where the township offices have to shut down again, is there any issue with Karen taking her PC home, Rhonda possibly taking her PC home?
When it works. Sorry.
Thank you.
Because, well, I mean, Rhonda doesn't have to so much, but if well, I guess the office can be closed with people working in it. I was just trying to think of, my whole thing lately has been continuity of operations. So I wanted to see what we could do there if we can't be in the office, or if Karen and Rhonda can't be in the office.
The only problem I would see with that is that they're desktops, and that's a lot to schlep back and forth.
It is. And so it's probably not a big deal. I just had to kind of think it through a little bit, but
I think you have to wait and see what he says. And even if he does shut it down, that just means our office is shut. Karen can still go in. She can still go to work instead of having to load that all the way home and everything else.
Right. So this is more of a contingency.
Yes.
Mindy, you think of it as a COOP or a disaster recovery kind of a thing. If they have to up and go, don't worry about it. I'm just thinking out loud here. It's been a long day.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to happen. I'm just saying if.
Right. And I wasn't speaking specifically to that. I'm just saying if something happened where the building was unusable or something else.
And Mindy, one thing for you too on your policy book, check with Chief Littleton. He has a company that he worked with his. He'll be able to help you with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the things I actually was going to talk to Sergeant Hessler about, but either one of them. Because police departments are good with SOPs and guidelines. So I figured we would do something like that. And I had to write them with my rescue squad. So we've got some.
Yeah, he's got a company he's been working with that was helping him.
Good deal.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Jason?
Yes. So this month I only attended a handful of meetings, the MVRPC Tech and Disaster Recovery meetings, as well as the Miami Township Board of Trustees meetings. I did want to take a moment to see if, what everybody thought about the presentation on the HyperReach iPause capability, and give a little bit of backstory to that as well, because I haven't really done that with you. And I apologize. I was trying to get Mr. Bell engaged first and then kind of talk about it after. I got to HyperReach because of after the tornadoes. I know the history of Perry Township trying to get weather sirens and how that hasn't happened and how it's cost prohibitive to do. So seeing that there's communities around us that use iPause, it made sense. And the fact that they were willing to bring the price down to about $2,000 annually, which when you figure out what the cost of a siren is, which I think it's like between 3,000 and 4,000 from the numbers I've heard, and then the annual maintenance that's required on those to keep them up to spec, up to code, that this would provide more capability, and it's nothing that we have to configure. iPause is completely, run at the state and federal level, and it just allows for our community to broadcast that to people passing between our township borders. So I wanted to take a moment just to ask what your thoughts were, if you had any questions, or if you want some time to kind of chew on it a bit, and we could talk about it at the working session.
I need more convincing. I get the HyperReach messages from Brookville, and Fletch has paid the big bucks for the whole package. Mm-hmm. So I know it covers at least half of our township. That being said, that doesn't mean we exclude the other half of the township. But do we really have the money to do that right now?
Well, and that's the thing. right, is that do we feel, now I'll tell you, I live closer to Brookville than you do by a stone's throw. I've never gotten a message from them because that would have helped me to know that they did that.
Did you sign up?
I didn't sign up. iPause you don't have to sign up for. So understand that they're paying for the big suite for HyperReach. iPause is that specific capability to be able to do missing persons, the weather alerts that are automated within a geographically mapped area. So it's a subset of the capability, right? So
I had to let them know that I wanted it, and I had to opt in.
And see, that's the thing is they probably configured it that way. But iPause, you can basically map it to the borders of Perry Township and say, look, any vehicle passing through here, because how do you opt in if you might be driving through the area? You really can't. They're probably using the full suite of HyperReach. We're talking specifically about the iPause capability, which is the automated weather alerts, as well as the ability to do persons of interest, missing persons. And that was something I was talking with Chief Littleton about, is if that's a tool, a set of tools that they would like to have at their disposal, if it's bundled together, then it's possible that we pay a percentage out of the police fund, a percentage out of the general fund, and the price comes down considerably. So just something to think about, that what we're looking to do here is make sure that the people within Perry Township are safe and that they get those precious seconds, sometimes seconds, to be able to take action and be safe in the case of a weather emergency. So,
is there a way that we can poll the community, like maybe do a survey monkey or something on the Facebook, or not, well, either the Facebook page or the web page, and see how many people would be receptive or interested in doing that?
we could do that. Survey monkey costs money, right? So there might be a way to do a poll and then broadcast the poll, publicize the poll.
I know we can do it on Facebook, but I don't know how many people go to the Facebook page or how many have now jumped ship to MeWe and whatever the other one is.
Well, and I do know that we do have Marilyn in the meeting right now, and having it put in the Brookville paper to kind of pump it up a little bit. Maybe that drives some people to it. Let me look into that, look into doing a poll for that and seeing if people are interested. And I'll pull some information together that I've gotten from Russ just on the iPause capability and make it part of a post on the Facebook page.
If the community wants it, then I'm certainly in favor, because I found out about the tornado from something completely outside of Perry Township. So it would be a good thing to have our people knowing, but I'm hesitant on adding anything, budgeting. I'm just real nervous about nickel and diming us right now.
Understand. It's, it's something that we could do that would be definitely cheaper than putting multiple tornado sirens within the township. And that, because in the past that ran into some serious challenges for past trustees.
Yeah.
So, okay. The ramp project, there is going to be a meeting at the township at 1:30 on Friday, the 13th. And I'll be in attendance there with Double J and Kramer and Associates. And Rhonda, is Mike going to be in attendance to that?
I don't know.
Okay. I didn't know if he was invited. I think he doesn't get email, so I didn't know how, if he was even made aware of it. So
I can say something to him.
Yeah, if he's interested in being there, great.
They do have a funeral Friday. I don't know what time it is though.
Okay. So they're basically going to be doing the pre-construction kickoff for the project. We're finally at the point where I think the work is getting ready to begin. All the permits are done, all the blueprints are done, and we're ready to go. So there'll be more information coming on that at next month's report. The township website continues to evolve. Been uploading a lot of documents, linking them in so that any information that residents want that we generate on a regular basis is able to be found there. Still looking forward to any comments, inputs, or anything else from the community. The Township Office Network, I've been working with Newegg in their tax exempt process. Unfortunately, their tax exempt portal went down a week and a half ago, and I've been working with their customer support and just recently got connected with a person who's assigned as our business account manager. And I'm working through the challenges right now. I hope within the next day or two to have the full tax exempt status in place and be able to make the purchase of the router that we approved during the last Board of Trustees meeting. I did notice on my drives through the township that the cemetery flags are looking really bad. The one at Pleasant Hill is very tattered. Do we regularly replace those at any set interval, or is there anything that triggers us to go through and replace those? Do we have replacements for those?
I have called the VFW in the past and they have donated flags. I don't know if they're in the position to do that anymore. I mean, I can double check, but they're usually the ones who donate those.
Okay. So we don't procure those directly. We basically talk with VFW and American
Yes.
Legion and okay.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, great. If you want me to do that, I can do that too. So
Is that the only one you notice? I know I just had the one in Pleasant or
honestly,
Piermont.
yeah, I noticed Pleasant Plain. It was the last one that I went through this past weekend. So I didn't notice it in the other ones, but if it's been a while since some of those have been replaced, it might be good to get a couple.
Yeah, Dale just said Piermont needs replacing, so does Pleasant Hill. So
Yeah.
I'll give the VFW a call tomorrow and see. And like I said, I can't guarantee. If not, those are something that we'll have to purchase.
Right. And then does the VFW take care of the disposal of the flags as well?
We have a drawer full of them there at work or down there at the township house. I can ask them that also.
Well, I was going to tell you that I think it's up at it might still be at McMackin's. One of the Boy Scouts in Brookville built a flag disposal box where they properly dispose of the flags.
It's at McMackin's.
It's at McMackin's.
Is it still there? Okay. I know I've seen it there. I wasn't sure if it was still there.
Yeah, there's several down there. I think down there at the township house. I'll get them and get them turned in.
Okay.
I think the Boy Scouts also do proper flag burials.
Well, that's what it is that it's their, they build a box for an Eagle Scout project. So you drop it in the box and the Boy Scouts dispose of them. Trustee Wynn mentioned that we did have we've been kicking around the idea of having an additional meeting per month. To me, it doesn't matter if it's a regular meeting. I know multiple townships have it's more of an abridged trustees meeting. They have their full trustees meeting, a bridge trustees meeting, and maybe 1 or 2 working sessions. I know we've really been getting better at working through things, and I wanted to see what you guys thought about, do we want to add a working session, or do we want to look to add like a smaller regular meeting so that any official business we can knock through? Or is it more important to get together and kind of work on specific topics as they arise?
I'm more in favor of a work meeting because we can't communicate otherwise. And there are things that we want to do or things that are in the process of doing, and we can't even tell each other what's happening.
Right.
And if things change depending on what Governor DeWine says, those may have to be,
Right. And we can do those remotely on Zoom as well.
Yes, right.
It's just,
Right.
whatever needs to be done. So just
Zoom works best for me.
I would ask that we consider what would be a good day of the month. It doesn't have to be on a Tuesday. We're already on 2 Tuesdays in the month. So just think about it. We can talk about it, and heading into the new year, we can make sure that we establish that additional meeting. Yes. Okay. And that is all that I have.
When we do when we do our annual restructuring meeting, that would be probably something good to make a decision on for the upcoming year.
Right, because you have to vote on when you're gonna do it, your time and everything too. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, and is there any new business?
Other than I did try to peek at the police department's website and their Facebook page, and those forms are not up there.
Okay,
So if there are any residents, Marilyn McConaughey put this in the paper, if there are any residents that would be willing to allow the Perry Township police officers to sit in their driveways to watch speeders on certain roads, like we have a couple cars on Air Hill that we're dying to catch, and they're having cars on Sulphur Springs. And so if you live on one of those roads and you are bothered by somebody in particular, let Chief Littleton know or let Sergeant Hessler know. And then if they can use your driveway, there's a form to fill out saying I give them permission, or if you have to give them verbal permission in lieu of the form, they're using that right now temporarily, but they're really looking to crack down on that and make some of our roads a lot slower traveled and a lot safer.
okay, and
That-
Mindy, you're gonna get with Chief Littleton about putting that on there, right? The
About
webpage,
what?
about putting that form on the webpage.
Yeah, I can let him know it's not there. I think he knows it's not there because
Okay.
when I was signing checks for him the other day, he mentioned it and we were discussing the Air Hill person.
Okay. Okay. Okay, is there any old business? Okay, and do we have any visitors this evening that would like to speak? No visitors. Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn.
I will second.
Mears,
Yes.
Wynn,
Yes.
Hartshorn.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Forget to thank a veteran this week.
Yes.